What is a crop circle? Please don't say it's a hoax. I've covered that. They're 400 odd years old at least, and for a man to see them, so they're not made for man or woman to see them, because you would need to be a couple of 100 feet in the air, if not 1,000 foot, and we didn't have the technology 400 years ago to see that, nor would we have the brain power to even understand what they were back then. We didn't have computers or photographs properly 400 years ago, so we would have had to draw it on paper. It wasn't made for man, and they would have just done it smaller because whoever's doing it is sentient. So if you remember, I said before that there's two types of orbs. There's the ones that go inside you, and I say orbs because that's the natural state of them, the light beings, the ones that enter you, and then there's the other types that's higher up, higher planes up. Now what I believe is the ones that are higher up go into the ground, find out about the earth, and report back using these to the UFOs above. Let me tell you a story, and this is a good one. So people have been abducted by aliens, and this is to do with crop circles actually, so bear with me. And while they've been abducted throughout their lives, they've been forced to learn this code, these symbols. Now these ones here are just representations of what people remember seeing on what they call an I-beam that was part of the crashed Roswell ship. So these are just from what people remember they look like off of some part of the ship. But anyway, going back to these people. So these abductees are sitting on this chair in a ship looking at a screen, and the symbols next to them would have A, that would have B, for example. I'm using these as an example, and C, and so on. And over the amount of time they've been abducted, they had to keep learning all the symbols, what these symbols mean. Anyway, one day, one of the, many years later, and he's now an adult, turned around to the aliens, because he's now a contactee as opposed to an abductee, and I'll explain the difference in another video. He turned around to him and said, "Look, why are you teaching me your these symbols and that? It's a load of rubbish." And then they showed him for about 4 or 5 seconds a few different symbols, and bang, he had read a whole book in those 3 or 4 or 5 seconds. So the speed of what you can see on symbols is quicker than us reading left to right. So what I'm saying is a crop circle, although we're just looking at it as symbols, it's probably telling a whole story about what the planet's up to, in other words, the state of our Earth around the world, which is why they're all different in different locations. So I'll just give you an example of why symbols can be better than reading left to right. So look at this. This is a way that we now could learn to read. So you get the point. So symbols could be the way of the future. So let me show you something else. Crop circles. Apparently, if you spin them, this is something I'd heard years ago. If you spin a true crop circle, you will see something miraculously happen, like a 3D image or something like that. I'll let you go and try that. This is a poor quality video, and I'm not sure if it's a true crop circle, so you have to do it with the true ones. So that's interesting. And one last thing. It's said that if you print out a copy or even have an image on your phone of a true crop circle, it will bring you good luck. I haven't actually tried it. I know, as stupid as it sounds, I should really print one out and just keep it in my wallet. But the people that have said that good fortunes come to them. So thank me and send me money if you come to it. I'm just revisiting the Dyatlov Pass incident, because people were saying that it was a stove that caught fire, which there was no evidence of fire. People decided to leave their tent to go get firewood. There was an avalanche. But right, so let me lay out the facts. Bigfoot is in Russia. The copper police officer that was investigating it at the time, Russian police officer, he's now retired, but he gave this photograph to the documentary makers, I think in National Geographic or History Channel, when they were doing their documentary a couple of years back. Also, the diary said that for about a week, the students were being followed. That's what they wrote in the diary, and then they took this one picture. Now, it doesn't look to me like a person in clothes following them in the middle of nowhere. Now, the tent itself was cut from the inside. The zip was still down. It was cut from the inside, so whatever they did, they ran in a hurry. They had their night clothes on, you know, t-shirt, no shoes. So that doesn't sound like an avalanche to me. Now let's look at how they died. So two of them died by an edge of a forest, too scared to go inside the forest, so they died of hypothermia outside the forest. Why didn't they just go back and pick up their clothes? Do you see what I'm saying there? You know, you're in the middle of nowhere. If there was just defies belief what people think. Makes so much more sense. Now look, they all split up as well. So some of them died of hypothermia, physical trauma. One victim had a major skull damage, 2 had severe chest trauma, and another had a small crack on his neck. There was another that doesn't report here that had bruises on his hand consistent with smacking something, punching something. So, you know, think of Bigfoot there. You're trying to stop Bigfoot from doing things. 4 of the bodies were found near water by a lake, which means obviously they'd split up from the others. 3 had soft tissue damage to the face. These are 9 people in total. 2 bodies were missing their eyes and 1 was missing their tongue. Apparently 1 was missing their eyebrows. Not quite sure what relevance that has. Maybe they're just albino. But basically, look, it says here, compelling natural force. Yeah, really, all of them, different locations, or just put your head for a second. A Bigfoot comes, chases them down. They're trying to hit the Bigfoot. He breaks their necks, which he does. That's what Bigfoot does. To me, you know, and the photograph as well, and the diary, and the fact that the tent was cut inside, and there's no evidence. Yes, snow did fall. I think they found these people a few weeks later, but our arguments say, oh well, you know, it was an avalanche. I don't think so. Okay, so I think this is totally fake, and I'll give you my reasons, and then hopefully you'll agree with me, and that will stop all the trolls saying it's fake because they read it on the internet. So, you know, you do a little bit of research and you find out that not everything's as it seems. So here at the bottom it says that she was the Bigfoot woman that I was talking about in a previous video, and that's her son, is really not really a Bigfoot woman, it's just an African woman. So we then follow the story. Now Channel 4 did a big piece on it, which is where probably everywhere else got it. So once they pick up on a piece, they pick it up. So there's a guy from a university in England called the University of Oxford, and his name is Professor Brian Sykes. Now he apparently done a DNA test from a tooth from one of the Bigfoot's ancestors that we're talking about here, and he says it's she's from Africa, so that's the end of it, and blah blah blah. But anyone that knows me knows that I do a lot more digging than just so I knew this was fake, because Brian Sykes here has actually this is Wikipedia, he claimed that an accountant, a Florida accountant by the name of Tom Robinson, is a direct descendant of Genghis Khan. So this guy's really clever, this Brian Sykes, the professor, but turns out it was subsequently disproved. So straight away now you've got a guy that's not as good as he thought he was, and you've got people